John Anik and Kenny Florian Podcast. John Anik and Kenny Florian.
I f***ing love them. I can't get enough of them.
Let's hear that Boston next.
Big jab there from Duffy, and Frank Mir is hurt now. Down goes Duffy, out cold. Frank Mir does it again. Rock'em sock'em robots here. Oh my goodness.
Hyperbole. A couple of absolutely self-involved bullshit artists.
Here are your hosts, John Anik and Kenny Florian.
Well, for me, I would pay for the chance to pick Ken Flo's brain after a pay-per-view like UFC 314. Kind of don't want to dick around today. I want to get right into it. How we doing? How was the weekend, kid?
I'm doing great, man. What a card, man. That was a lot of fun.
Speaking of dicking around, go ahead.
I want to say this. I thought you, DC, and Rogan had one of your best shows. Just the analysis, the way you guys were working together. I thought it was definitely awesome, by the way. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we will take that praise from Ken Flo on a Monday morning. Thank you, my man. I know the keen eye through which you watch this through. So thank you. Eyes, I guess, plural, I should say. Great to have everybody with us. Monday, April 14, 2025, episode 546 of the Anik and Florian Podcast, presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. So speaking of pissing around, Kenny, right? Sometimes people be like, hey, man, how are your kids? And it's like, what, dude? Like, do you really want to know? That's like the most loaded question in the world. If a parent is only as happy as their saddest child, how are your kids? They're fine. How are yours? How much fucking time do you have? Am I wrong?
Yeah, and you got three of them. So, I mean, it's like every one kid could take a whole day telling the story, right? You got three, and that's a lot of stories.
Yeah. Thankfully, they're fine. Health is wealth, of course. Not in my notes. All right, a lot to get to today. We will recap UFC 314 in totality. Of course, Ray Longo coming up live in about 12 minutes. He controls the clock of this show, as many of you know. We will also talk to Chase Hooper after a big win this weekend. We'll talk about that whole truck position with Ken Flo and Chase Hooper, and I'll mute my microphone and they can just geek out a little bit. We will also talk to Sheehan of SevereMMA and SureDog and get his thoughts on the scoring in the main event, among other things as well. Kenny, what did you think in terms of the whole, and not to put you on the spot, because I think whatever you think of President Trump as an individual, all he's talking to Dana White about all night is the fights and the fighters. So to whatever degree you like or don't like the man as a human being and what he has done or has not done, right? He's talking to Dana White mostly on this night about the athletes. And I know for a lot of them, it feels good to have the support of, the president of their nation and the president of a big nation.
Yeah, and whether you like him or not, I'm always blown away by Trump's energy. Like the dude staying up, I'm like fighting sleep, trying to stay up. And this guy is tuned in to every single fight. Like it's funny because, you could see him on camera and he is absolutely tuned in. And obviously the fight's delivered, so that helps the cause. But this guy isn't there to just show up. He's there like actually as a fan. It looks like to me like he's authentically a fan of the sport, and seemed like he was very intrigued by each and every fight. So it was
sometimes
cool.
I get the sense that he's like betting on it when he's not there. Like he's just into it. But it is interesting because sometimes there are comments about work versus recreation when it comes to the president of the United States of America. And it got me thinking, like, one day we're going to have a president who's absolutely shredded, right? We will. It's just the evolution of things. Who's going to prioritize working out, and there's going to be some sort of weight room addition to the White House. I'm sure something exists. I would imagine Barack Obama shooting hoops and all of these things, right?
Yeah.
But someday we're going to have a shredded president, and people are going to be like, can he put down the weight bar and solve a major political issue, right? So
why is he so healthy? Yeah.
All right, lot to get to today, and let us dive right into what was a monster weekend in Miami. Headlines brought to you by Cuervo. Now's a good time to enjoy the tequila that invented tequila. So, Kenny, Alexander Volkanovski certainly bucked a trend. He didn't defy odds. He was the betting favorite in this fight against Diego Lopes. And there does seem to be this narrative that he maybe did what a lot of people, or most people, didn't think he could do. And most people on the ground, I thought he was going to win the fight. I gave Diego Lopes a fighting chance, to be sure. But, Volk was the guy when I probed people as to who they felt had the best chance of the last 4 fighters competing to win. Volk was the most popular answer, and I thought it was one of his best career performances, Ken Flo, against a really interesting challenge. 49-46 times 2, 48-47. It is Volk by unanimous decision. He becomes a 2-time UFC featherweight champion.
It was an absolute masterclass in how you handle someone like Diego Lopes, who is so dangerous everywhere. He didn't give Diego Lopes anything to counter. He was dictating the range for the majority of the fight. He was throwing more volume. He was keeping Diego Lopes off balance anytime he wanted to come forward with his jab. His footwork looked like it was on point. And while he showed some glimpses of that bad habit of backing out with that chin up, later on in the fight, you could see him dial back in, make those adjustments, keep those hands up as he got close to the cage, and keep that chin tucked. So he clearly did his homework. This is a guy that is a student of the game, a professional athlete of the highest quality. And this wasn't the Volkanovski that was old. This was the Volkanovski of old.
I read, I believe, on UFC.com, and apologies that I don't have the credit, Dan Ige said of Diego Lopes, and granted that fight came together on hours' notice for both men. But he said of Diego Lopes, did Dan 50K Ige, you like my hat, and by the way, we congratulate Dan. He said he had never felt presence in the octagon quite like Diego Lopes, and everything hurt more than ever before. Like everything the guy threw hurt. And I think that's evidenced by Volkanovski's eyes, and Volk obviously hurt his hand in this fight. It's just a valiant effort from Volkanovski, but so much to get to on the Diego Lopes front as well. How did you feel like Diego Lopes fought in this fight, Kenny?
So I think that his determination, his courage, his heart, his ability to be present, as you were just mentioning, it was all there. I think that he struggled a little bit defensively, and that's kind of where I saw maybe the vulnerabilities heading into this fight. And the other thing, he's only been in the UFC just a couple years, man. Volkanovski has a lifetime of experience, and that absolutely matters at the highest level when the stakes are highest. This was for the belt. Volkanovski has not only, a ton of rounds under his belt, but he has a ton of rounds under his belt against the best fighters, in UFC history. Jose Aldo, Max Holloway, the Brian Ortegas, all these guys that he has faced and he has learned from. That's hard to beat, that level of experience. So for Diego Lopes to go in there, to survive all 5 rounds, and to make it competitive, I think was a huge victory, in and of itself. So I think that he'll be back stronger. Anytime you face someone of that quality, like Alexander Volkanovski, you are going to learn a lot.
Right, and I wonder sort of what Francisco Grasso and Diego Lopes would classify as the mistakes, because they were rendered a counter fighter a little bit, I think, more than ever before with Diego Lopes. It didn't necessarily look like vintage, if that's the wrong word, perhaps, Diego Lopes. He looked a little bit flat-footed to me. And what would you say to those who suggested that Lopes maybe lacked the killer instinct in those big moments, especially when he hurt Volk's eye? Like, if your chin's so good, is that not your championship moment?
Right. So I'll say this. He didn't have a competent answer to that jab. Anytime he was lunging forward and was attempting to get into the pocket and land those shots where he's so devastating, it was Volkanovski who was diffusing that pressure with jabs and footwork. So for Diego Lopes, he was trying. He just didn't have a great answer. And, easier said than done. Volkanovski knows how to move his feet. He was moving laterally extremely well. He was circling away from the pressure really well. He switches stances. He does so many different things to keep you off balance. That blitzing Osotogari, that little trip that he was attempting, even though it wasn't successful every single time, it was keeping Lopes off balance. And that's just one more thing that you have to worry about as a fighter. Volkanovski has so many tools that he can throw at you, and that's where his greatness lies. There's a lot of guys that kind of do one or two things, and it doesn't make them not a good fighter, but they're easier to approach and handle. You have easier things to process, but with Volkanovski, there's so much to process.
Maybe his best performance for me in a lot of respects, and to do it at this stage of his career, and how committed he is. You're not going to outwork Alexander Volkanovski, and Diego Lopes is going to outwork a lot of guys, but he's strong. Kenny Volkanovski has a reach as long as Daniel Cormier, right, 71.5 inches. He uses it brilliantly, and he was just on this night, and he did get hit with, I think, in totality, the bigger shots in this fight, and cardiovascular base was in such a great position that he was able to use that to his advantage in those consequential moments, and has all the championship mettle and heart to fight through the loss of vision. I just think there was a moment where he lost vision, and you can tell it was a problem. And I think if I'm Francisco Grasso, those guys were very emphatic in the corner. Like, there are moments when I think they wanted forward motion and that wasn't happening. And perhaps that's a gas tank preservation thing. There's so much that goes into it. And I promise we're going to live in the Volkanovski part of this, but like, how much credit does Volk deserve for some of Diego Lopez's ineffectiveness? Because there was a lot of ineffectiveness in the striking realm for Diego.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's a critical question, and it's an important one. And Volkanovski was able to do that just with his movement alone. That's a problem. But the fact that he was so sharp with his jab, I think it confused Diego Lopes a little bit of how to enter properly. But if Diego was able to slip his head offline, then get into range, I think he would have served him much, much better as he was pressing Volkanovski. And also the other thing was Volkanovski's attempts at double legs. Sometimes, even if it's not effective, it's something that's in the back of the head of Diego Lopes. Now, we had Volkanovski hit a takedown, or he was able to get on top early in the fight, and that's something that will remain there to a large extent. So the more you pressure forward, the more susceptible you are to those takedowns as well. Now, Diego was on point with his takedown defense, but I think it was really the myriad of things that Volkanovski brings to the cage that he was successful with early on in the fight that I think kept Diego Lopes from really pursuing and going for the kill as much as he would have liked. So but it was an awesome fight. I mean, Diego Lopes is so tough. That chin is insane.
I actually think a finish, a knockout by Volk, might have even done less for his legacy than this win does. Yeah. This feels absolutely enormous for Volk. And let me just say, as somebody who had boots on the ground, what a massive week of just love and adulation for Alexander Volkanovski. I mean, as Diego Lopes and Yair Rodriguez were getting into it at the press conference, I had a moment with Volk, and I was like, man, you got to be as beloved as any fighter here in the United States of America. And humbly, he said, it's unbelievable. And I said, you did it just by being yourself. But my goodness, man, when, down under, men at work, hits those speakers, Ken Flo. I mean, it's a moment. And for Volkanovski, his Volkanovski era, the first championship reign, and we always say it's very difficult in this sport to lose the belt and then retain it. Only a handful of guys are truly two-division champions. I know I say John Jones has 15 championship banners in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Maybe it's now 16. But to lose the title and then gain it back at whatever age is a really big deal. And for Volkanovski now, whose era maybe didn't have all of these major moments, even if it had signature wins, right? And I say that with all due respect. Obviously, the Ortega win, and there were moments, right? But, bro, like, this reopens Mount Rushmore, I feel like, for Volk. And that's maybe a stupid conversation, but a very select group of four.
Well, to be human is to struggle. And we love those stories of the Phoenix rising from the ashes, of the guys that have to deal with that adversity. It's when you see a guy like, let's say like a John Jones, they kind of become more of like this superhero type character. But when you get a guy who has failed, a guy who has certain flaws, who needs to maybe work a little bit harder than everybody else, it tells that more of a human story. And for Volkanovski, people can just relate to that. And to see him come back and defy the odds, there was that stat of, no one winning past a certain age at, the 155-pound division and lower. Yeah, Volkanovski put that thing to rest, and I think it's just an amazing story that he only added to his legend after this performance.
Amazing. So much more coming up on Volkanovski and the Mount Rushmore stuff even as well in 60 seconds with the Godfather, Ray Longo. But first, the NBA 82-game grind is done. Now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here. Time for all the high-stakes drama, clutch moments, and jaw-dropping plays. I can't wait, and if you are looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Try placing a bet on maybe your favorite player's performance. I'm a straight wager on a game guy, but new DraftKings customers either way. Bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code AFPOD. That's code AFPOD for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario, new customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. All right, let us get to the venerable Raymond Peter Longo.
It's now time for the Ray Longo Minute.
I want you to punch a hole in his fucking chest. That's what I want.
The Ray Longo Minute. Starring Ray Longo. The John Anik and Kenny Florian Podcast.
Look at him! Look at the motherfucker! That's what I'm talking.
Laying it up for the kids, Raymond. Good to see you, buddy. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you guys, man. What a great night of fights.
Oof.
So I saw someone wearing a T-shirt that said "fuck Michael Chandler," right? I didn't see any T-shirt that said that about Alexander Volkanovski, right? And I don't know that I could find anybody that dislikes the man. And what he did this weekend, Raymond, for me, in beating Diego Lopes, in my mind, 49-46, 4-1, was nothing short of spectacular. I didn't even think he could produce a win that could possibly add to his legacy to this extent.
Oh, my God, what a performance. First off, one of the good guys in the sport, so we always like to reward those good guys with good things like this. And I'm going to say this, and it was weird. When I guess before the fight, they were playing the clip of the countdown, and the conviction in which he said he was going to become champion, I go, now that's before the fight. I go, holy shit, this guy, I've heard that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I'm not joking. I've never heard it like that. And I go, and then after the first round, I go, wow, this guy's going to do it. And then that was it. And I love Diego Lopes. And I'll tell you, the guy's got a granite chin, man. Did he take some shots and didn't even freaking flinch? But I started pulling just for Volkanovski, I wanted to see this feel-good moment because I thought everything aligned up, and I thought he fought beautifully. Had a speed advantage. He took away the right hand. He kept walking the right way. He blitzed in with his attacks. The jab was on the money. Looked like he couldn't miss him with the jab. I mean, the guy fought a great fight. So really hats off to one of the nice guys, Volkanovski. And again, both trainers, Lopez, and I know that's his guy, but Eugene Bareman. I mean, that was, I agree with John, nothing short of miraculous. And I gotta just that those are my other thoughts too. I want to tie it all in is that my take on like the whole night really was Reyes and Volkanovski, because these two guys had the shit knocked out of him, and hats off to Reyes too, because he looked like he was in the depths of hell at one point after that Jones fight.
Yeah.
And for him to come back like this, whatever these guys did, and like again, maybe it's, like we always said, is his chin going to hold up? Is he chinny? I'm not saying that's there or it isn't there, but whatever those guys did, and I guess modern medicine, modern, techniques, taking the breaks, not making it worse like in the old days where they send you right back in there.
Yeah.
I'd love to know what both of them did, because I think both of them accomplished something that I would have thought personally was really, really hard to accomplish.
Yeah, Ray, I think that's one thing that John and I haven't touched on yet was the layoff, was the break.
Yeah.
And I think it did him well on for a couple different reasons. First of all, gave his body time to recover, his chin time to recover. And it seemed like he had a little extra pep in his step. He just looked fresher to me. Is that the way you see it? And I don't know, is that something you kind of think about when you look at some of your fighters wanting to give them a break to get that back?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Now you really have to be careful, and you got two things going against you. You're getting hit at not. I'm not saying the latest stage in life, but as you're getting older too, which can't help. That helps absolutely nothing. I believe at this point, being up there. But yeah, I don't know. Kenny, I am blown away by that, and yeah, it's something I'd love to even talk to both of those guys about and say, just man, how the hell did you do that psychologically? Did you get help? I know we've had guys in the past, concussions, don't do any math, you don't even want to engage your brain in anything. You just have to like let it sit and reheal itself. And I guess maybe, 2025, there's been a lot of things that have changed. And, we now know that, I guess. I'm not no freaking, head guy, but the neuroplasticity, you can change your brain, which 20 years ago they said you couldn't. So maybe all these things add together. But I'm telling you, that's what I'm blown away by. And I was just happy to see him make it. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but it was just now, like in round 4, like whenever he got dropped, I go, man, you got to do it now. Like you're there. I could see you there. Yeah. You know what I mean? You just want him to do it. And it has nothing to do with Diego, because he's a great guy and he's going to go on to do great things, because I think that was a growing, even at this stage for Diego to go 5 rounds. He's a problem.
Yeah. So you think that's a performance where Lopes is he'll get back to his form, and that's not one of those things where it's like, he lost to Volkanovski, he'll never be a champion. You see good things for him moving forward, right? 1,000,000%.
I think the next guy he fights, it's going to be a Lopes victory, and I think he learned a lot from that fight. I really do. You got to remember, he's relatively new, not relatively new, but was he been in the UFC 2 years? That's a lot. That guy's.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
That's a meteoric rise to the championship. Because it's almost like Weidman. I was, how many fights did he have when he got the title fight? 11, 10, 12, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's happening increasingly quicker for a lot of guys. I know Alex Pineda has a lot of experience. I mean, Diego Lopes has a lot of experience, Ray, before he got to the UFC. I know this is a different animal, but a lot of experience. It's interesting to think about him. There's so much to unpack in terms of what you said, Raymond. I mean, real quickly, I would like to get to this if I could. You're mentioning the layoff, right? Which obviously was a big deal here. Forcibly or otherwise, he took some time off. But he's, after this fight with hand destroyed, Kenny, talking about returning before September. Now, I don't think it makes sense to fight Yair Rodriguez in Guadalajara at altitude. It's not Mexico City, right? It's a couple thousand feet, I think, below. But makes no sense to try to sleep in an altitude tent and fight Yair in September. So I don't blame Volk for maybe trying to think International Fight Week. But seemingly in psyche, Kenny, Volkanovski is back in that prize fighting mindset of, I'm the champ and I want to defend as soon as humanly possible against the most difficult guy. And he says that's Movsar Evloev.
Yeah, and I love that. You love to hear that, and I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's a way trickier fight going into enemy territory, doing a quick turnaround, and also realizing, you know what, I'm not going to make that same mistake of staying busy right away. Yes, if the UFC wants me to fight in a couple months, like I'd love to help them out, but I paid for it last time. I'm not doing it. I'm going to, everybody is different. And perhaps Merab one day will have to come to that conclusion as well, where it's like, hey, I'm not, a 20-year-old anymore. I'm getting older and I got to take my time before I take another title defense. So we'll see what happens. But I love both of those fights. I still like both of those fights.
Well, I'll tell you, Kenny, I like the Movsar fight for him because it's a fight where there's a good chance he's not going to get lumped up. And that Achilles heel will have another fight to rest. I think he could 1,000,000% evade most of the stand-up. It'll become more of a grappling. We'll see if he can make it a grappling contest, because I thought Volk did great with Islam in that department. So that's a good fight. And I think it's, for him, I think it's a safe fight at this stage of the game. This guy's got absolutely nothing to prove. I mean, I would almost right off into the sunset. What he did, I think, is short of a miracle. I think what he did was really unbelievable. Yeah. I wouldn't push it. You know what I mean? But the Movsar fight, I would take. Yeah. That's the next fight I would take for sure. I think if I'm game planning and I'm those guys, I like that. But man, this guy, please, Volk, you have absolutely nothing to prove, man.
But I just think there's so many layers to it, right? Like he might tell you in one conversation, hey, Ray, 4 daughters. Need I say more? I'm going to try to turn this thing around as humanly possible on the biggest fight card possible. He might also say to you, I'm trying to get the benefits of what was an amazing 16-week training camp. Other than my hand, I feel pretty good. My eye's already healed. I want to fight International Fight Week and, stack another 7 figures, right? I just think there are a lot of different layers to it. But for me, like if I felt and looked as good as Volkanovski did, I mean, I'm arguing this might have been a career best performance. I mean, certainly you could argue his most dominant win over Holloway is that, or how dominant he was against Brian Ortega, other than that submission, Korean Zombie. I don't even know. But my gosh, man, I've never seen the guy look better from, 5 feet away. So,
yeah. I mean, look, I'll never agree. I'll never disagree if a guy does the 4 daughters thing, but it's going to sound stupid, but my thing was, dude, there's not a big difference between 15 million and 18 million. When you're at that level, I think you could do fine unless you're squandering your money. You know what I mean? Like,
which he's not, and he's a budding chef. He's going to make so much money as a chef, I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, but he's going to make. Listen, that's it. Your money's not stopping after you're done. The guy was the champ, and look what he's done. He should be fine, unless I'm totally missing something. But
no, I just think he likes to fight. He likes to have a date on the books, and I would seem to think that when you have a champion who is desirous of fighting a top contender who's 9-0 in the UFC, that hopefully it's Movsar Evloev's opportunity. Because he's richly deserving. So, gosh, in the nature of time, Ray, is there anything else on Volkanovski? We acknowledged Joe Lopez. I probably should have worn my Joe Lopez t-shirt today. He's a no-nonsense guy, and Freestyle Fighting Gym has been at this with Volkanovski for a long time. This is an incredible win. Anything, Raymond, on Diego Lopez or Volk before we get to, Jean Lord Silva, Paddy Pimblett, and everybody else?
No, I think that's it, man. I think we did a good job. I think he's got his.
Oh, now you're assessing how we did. You think we did?
Well,
good?
John, I want to say this too. It's like the 4th week in a row we started on time. I think that's very good. I'm very proud of you. Very proud of you. You handle. And everybody loves the way you handle criticism, like a true professional. So
I'm too sensitive. I mean, I am less sensitive than I was when I was 32 here at 46 years of age. But yes, I'm particularly sensitive to the call out of unprofessionalism because of how much blood, sweat, and tears, or at least the sweat and tears I put into this program on a weekly basis, laying it all out. And so, the fact that you either tongue in cheek or otherwise feel that part of this has been mismanaged is very hurtful for me, 550 episodes in, but I'll live with it.
Okay. Now you sounded like my fucking wife. And I do appreciate everything you do, John. I think you're unbelievable. You help so many people.
Thank you, buddy.
Where am I? Can I get away from this? Kenny, can I please? Now I got 2 wives. Oh my God. This is crazy.
Wow. Yes, I mean, the answer is yes. I mean, like the show would go downhill.
Thank you, John, for everything. I swear to God, I mean
Get the this guy's unbelievable. I don't want any credit for the logo that you are.
Kenny,
I don't.
I'll be right there, honey.
Oh my God, this guy.
All right, let's go. Let's keep it moving. Led Zeppelin, baby.
Thankfully, and I'm not even saying this. I have 14 would you rather questions, and we're not getting to any of them because of UFC 314.
No, this is too. Listen, let me just make another observation. The last couple of weeks, I come on the show. I can't really remember a fight. You know what I mean? Like this card brought me back to wow. This is the way it should be. You know what I mean? Like this is the way. Which I was really for the first time in 100 years, I was starting to go, wow, what am I? I don't even know. I don't know what I'm looking at anymore.
Yeah.
But this was restored face. So the UFC hit it out of the park with this card. And they got a couple of really guys to concentrate on.
You know what I was looking at this morning? I was looking for some orange Paddy Pimblett merchandise.
Yeah. Wow.
What a stud, man. Kenny, I do believe that, when Joe Rogan and others suggest that the hair and the flair has maybe redirected some attention or distracted some attention away from the martial arts, maybe it has worked to his benefit. Maybe the close Jared Gordon fight worked to his benefit. Paddy Pimblett's the real deal. And instead of calling out Islam Makhachev that maybe someone of his star power would, instead he's trying to position himself for Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, or Justin Gaethje to test himself against the best number 1 contender and make himself undeniable. I love everything about the kid. I think he's going to be a massive global mixed martial arts superstar, and he might already be there.
I agree. I think all the attention has kind of been on his looks, on what he says, his accent, where he's from, all that other stuff, his confidence or maybe cockiness at times. But this is a mixed martial artist that continues to improve and prove the doubters wrong. And I thought this was one of his best performances. He did it against a guy who is very popular in Michael Chandler and was really, really dominant, man. He was the more skillful guy. I talked about this. To me, Chandler is deteriorating as far as skill, and Paddy's just getting better. He's adding weapons to his arsenal. He has that confidence that's going to firepower all of those weapons. And I know, I think this is pretty much as good as it gets. Finishing someone like Chandler, I thought was pretty special. Yeah.
Ray, what'd you think of Paddy the Baddy?
He did very well. I felt so bad for Henry pleading with Chandler to just do whatever they were doing in training.
It's every fight though. It's like they have the same conversation.
I tell you, 100%. I don't.
Oh.
I love Chandler. I can't believe there was a guy walking around with a shirt that said "I hate Michael Chandler." Is that true?
Yeah.
Was the guy from England?
Yeah.
No, I shouldn't have brought it up necessarily. I mean, Michael Chandler knows I have a lot of love for him, and so do a lot of his contemporaries. There are plenty of people in the MMA world, elite level fighters, Robbie Lawler in his corner, right, who wouldn't want to listen at all to any noise about him cheating. But yeah, dude, I saw some guy wearing the T-shirt. I just brought it up because Volk is so beloved, and it was in poor taste, I guess, probably.
All right, whatever. But yeah, I agree, Kenny. With Chandler, I think at this point you know what you get, and he's I don't know. I'd love to sit him down and have a talk with him.
Well, I thought it was telling when they had some kind. I think it was on one of the features on Chandler, and they were talking to Henry Hooft, and they, one of the first things Henry mentioned, he didn't mention anything about strategy or how he's going to win the fight. The first thing he mentioned was Chandler being an entertainer and going out to, and that's how I was like, this fight it's done. Maybe he wins, but it's just, if you're not developing skill over the course of your career, I mean, look at how much the UFC has grown in the last 3 years, let alone 5 years, 10 years. You need to be getting better or you're going to be getting worse. And that's just a reality of this game, man.
You can always land a shot, right?
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
right.
You can always win by knockout, but Scousers don't get knocked out, which sort of compounds the issue here.
But no, Paddy, great job. Obviously, his wrestling, his jiu-jitsu is on point. Had a great fight. I think for these guys, it's not even like some of the guys that have been around for a while, because you never know when a guy's fighting for money, he's fighting for entertainment. There's a lot of things that you just don't know. But it's the up-and-coming guys that you have to worry about, because those guys are still hungry. It's the roofies and some of these other guys that are coming up that are, I don't know. Like, I think Paddy was a great fight. Do I see him as a champion? That'll be interesting.
Michael Chandler almost knocked out Charles Oliveira for the undisputed UFC lightweight championship. He had a moment against Charles in the rematch or two. He had a big moment against Justin Gaethje. He had moments against Dustin Poirier. Paddy Pimblett, however close to his fighting prime, having turned 30 in January, Kenny, just beat Michael Chandler to a bloody fucking pulp in Miami. So how do you handicap Kenny and Raymond, his chances now against Charles DuBronx Oliveira? Because here's Paddy Pimblett calling out the most dangerous or decorated finisher in the history of the promotion, Ken Flo.
Yeah, I think that's the fight.
I
think that's the fight to be made. I think that Paddy also really is super confident in his jiu-jitsu and wants to test the jiu-jitsu of Charles Oliveira. I think he's got to be careful on the feet. I think that's where Oliveira will be more dangerous, I think. But I think Paddy feels that he's got the takedown game to put Oliveira on his back. And as good as Oliveira is on the ground, to me, I think Oliveira is best when he gets top position. He has shown certain vulnerabilities when he's on his back. I think Paddy believes he can take him there. And you beat someone like Oliveira, well, you just fast-tracked your way to a title shot. So I think it's a brilliant call-out. Paddy doing his homework, man, inside the cage, outside the cage. I thought it was smart.
Yeah, and one other thing with Paddy, he had to finish that fight the way he finished it. And he did that. He did, and I give him all the credit in the world. I mean, that was really like a dominating performance, which we haven't really seen like that. So hats off to him. Yeah, I love the Oliveira fight. I think that's a better test at where he is. and he gets by Oliveira. Yeah, he's on his way.
So Kenny and Ray, and here's the poll results for today. On the heels of the win, who do you predict will be next for the lightweight contender, Paddy Pimblett? Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, or Arman Tsarukyan? 35% of you predicted Charles Oliveira, and I would get down on my knees and beg for that fight right now. 28% said Justin Gaethje, 26% said Arman Tsarukyan, 11% said Dustin Poirier. All of those fights dangerous in their own right. Arman Tsarukyan certainly a dangerous number one contender who needs a fight. Kenny, I've never seen anything like this, right? A superstar seemingly on Paddy Pimblett's level, right? And I've compared him to Conor McGregor insofar as master orator, just naturally such a great orator, using that accent, calling people fucking sausages and helmets without skipping a beat. The kid
That
is
funny.
masterful.
No, that's great. That is great.
I've never enjoyed a quarter of an hour with a fighter more than my sit down with him last month in Las Vegas, right? He is absolutely magnetic and dynamic. And as a mixed martial arts athlete, Kenny and Ray, he's calling out fucking Arman Tsarukyan. Right? Like if I'm his manager, it's like, hey, man, listen, like, can we like strategically call out Charles Oliveira and his 8.1 million Instagram? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Yeah. I'm not saying like Charles, you guys know, is like unbelievable. But Kenny, like talking about the 12-6 elbows in our fighter meetings, it fucking
I love it. Well, not everybody is born with charisma, and Paddy Pimblett has it, man, and that just adds to his intrigue as a fighter. People want to see him fight, man. Some people may want to see him lose, but it doesn't matter. They want to see him fight. So I love it. Paddy taking full advantage of it. The other possibility, which I don't think is going to happen, because I don't think it benefits Ilya as much. But Ilya Topuria and Paddy Pimblett, they have a history together. They have video of them kind of going back and forth, almost getting into a scrap. I think that would be interesting. I don't think that's going to be the next one, but that's another option. But when you've put yourself into this position and you've established yourself as a star, and when you've proven to the UFC and to the fans that you are never going to be in a boring fight, then, my friend, you have a lot of options.
Yeah, and plus the sausages and the helmet, it is hysterical. I think he's got a great. I think he's got a great mic persona. I don't know if I compare him to McGregor. That guy was on another level, but he's entertaining and he's funny and he's going to do obviously really well with all of that put together, combined with his skill. He's looking good, and it looks like he won't go off the rails like McGregor. He seems a little more grounded than that.
It's interesting when you sort of talk about some of the master orators and guys who I think have such a great natural verbal ability, and you're looking for a comp for Conor McGregor. You're right, Ray, never seen anybody like Conor McGregor. Chael Sonnen, I believe, is someone who I would classify as a master orator, but some of his material did seem written, but he certainly is a master orator. But Paddy Pimblett, to me, right? The ease with which he calls somebody a fucking helmet, man, in a post-fight interview, to me is just, I am absolutely captivated by the man's every move, and I can't wait to see him against your favorite fighter's favorite fighter, Charles Oliveira, or your favorite fighter's favorite fighter, Dustin Poirier, or your favorite fighter's favorite fighter, Justin Gaethje. How about this lightweight division? And yes, Ilya Topuria could factor prominently in this equation as well. There's a lot to be excited about. If you're a UFC lightweight fan, I mean, how good is this? If you're Islam, right? I don't know who tweeted it. Somebody high profile. I think Bilal Muhammad, the UFC welterweight champion, tweeted like, hey, Islam's got a new opponent, right? Like he could have called out Islam right now, and yet he doesn't want to do it. What's not to like about Paddy Pimblett?
Yeah, really good stuff. And I'll tell you that division, the 45-pound division, this John Silva, segueing into what that guy's having a blast. And Kenny, that ninja choke was tight. You know what I mean? Like he's not afraid to go for stuff. He's not, wasn't afraid to be on the floor with a guy that's probably the only way he could have lost that fight is on the floor. This guy is showing the qualities and the attributes of a guy that is going to make some waves.
Yeah. All right, great to have everybody with us live on the Anik Florian Podcast today on YouTube. Thanks to everybody ingesting it after the fact. Ray, it is 11:55 a.m. Eastern. How much more time do you have?
We got 10 minutes, I think.
Okay, outstanding. Thank you. Yeah. So I don't know what his nightly rate is, but if I ever needed a wingman, I think I would hire Yair Rodriguez to be alongside. What an absolute stud in fight. And I just don't even know where to begin because he used the UFC 314 press conference as the mechanism through which to deliver a scathing message to Diego Lopes about patriotism and a rivalry that involves Marco Beltran. And then he goes out and does that to Patricio Pitbull. Nothing about beating that guy in his UFC debut is easy. Ray, all hail Yair Rodriguez. You got anything for us on the Mexican?
No, just, he does what he always does. He's got beautiful kicks. He's a little awkward. He'll take risks where a lot of people won't take risks. And, no risk, no reward. And right now he's getting the reward and he takes the risk. So, it looks good. Has he corrected any of the grappling or the wrestling? That remains to be seen. You get a good wrestler and I think it's still a problem for him.
Well, he's putting in the hours, right, Kenny? So we know that. I mean, the appetite is there for it. He's never had abs before this fight, right? He's putting in the time. It doesn't necessarily mean it'll produce the world champion. What'd you think, Ken Flo, of Yair?
Every time I see him fight, I'm just like, this guy is lightning fast. And it's still the case here. He is so damn fast. His kicking game was on point. It pretty much always on point, but that to me was really what won him this fight. Patricio Pitbull just did not have an answer for the speed of those kicks, the range of those kicks. He never was in the proper range. And, to go back to the press conference of what happened between him and Diego Lopes, that's how you do a promotions job for him right there. And I know both those guys would love, I'm sure Lopez would love a rematch, and I'm sure Yair Rodriguez would love a shot at the belt. But if they were offered a main event in Guadalajara between both those guys, I mean, sign me up. That was so smart. Again, I don't know if it was planned. It seems like it's authentic. It seems like that beef is real.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, that press conference just sold that fight. If the UFC doesn't put that fight together, that's on you, bro.
Yeah. And what was the beef over? I didn't see the press.
So Yair said at the post-fight press conference after beating Patricio Pitbull that he felt as though the media should ask Marco Beltran about the specific details of why he is coming to his friend Marco's defense in this rivalry. I don't know. I mean, I guess some of the translation maybe suggested that Diego Lopes and his team at one point confronted Marco. I don't know. You certainly, if you want to go out there and seek out the transcript of what was said back and forth, it is out there. But I agree with Kenny, right? 5-round co-main event live on pay-per-view. Noche UFC Guadalajara, Mexican Independence Day weekend.
Fuego.
That's just too good. And it is interesting, though, because Yair Rodriguez said with Hunter Campbell, eye to eye, that he promised me a championship opportunity. And the way Yair has sort of methodically worked his career at times would be suggestive that he could sit for a title fight right now. But, I do believe that you could do Yair and Diego, and I think both athletes will be pressed in that direction.
So good.
Ray.
That would be great.
Ray, before we let you go, Jean Lord Silva. Guy can fight for the title right now as far as Joe Rogan's concerned. What do you think of Here Comes the Lord?
I tell you, that's a guy that's super comfortable in that octagon, man.
Yeah, my God.
I don't even know him. I don't even know what he's doing what was he supposed to be doing when he's hanging on the cage? What is that? It's like Spider-Man. I don't even know what I'm looking at.
I don't either.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Kenny? When he was jumping on the cage.
He's a dog is what he is.
Is that what it is?
He was caged. Yes, he was trying to get out.
That guy's got it. That guy. How quick was that turnaround for him?
Kind of a quick turnaround, right?
I have it right in front of me. I know
that had to be a quick turnaround.
Oh, here's some footage of Jean Silva. He fought in February against Melsik Bogdasarian. So, yes, very quick turnaround. And, that can lead to some comfort, to be sure. But he is a budding superstar. He's won 13 fights in a row. And his power, Bryce Mitchell in our fighter meeting, and I might have relayed this on the broadcast, Ray, he was so respectful of Jean Silva's timing and his ability to accurately pick and find his shots, and that this was the biggest fight of his career, despite Bryce's experience against all these ranked guys like Ilya Topuria and Josh Emmett and everything else. Jean Silva's the real deal. And Bryce says he said, like, he couldn't have fought any harder in trying to get a win. And when you fight that way against a guy like that, you get finished. So a lot of respect for Bryce Mitchell in defeat, Ray, as well.
No, he did. Bryce, look, he did whatever he could do. It just looked like a guy shooting BBs and the other guy's got cannonballs coming at you. You know what I mean? Like that's the problem. Like he was hitting him with a cut. He was offsetting him maybe a little bit with the stomp kicks but you could see it. It was what's the saying is like he was swimming without a life preserver. Like it was only a matter of time he was going to drown. You know what I mean? And that's the way I was looking at the fight. But up until that point, I think Bryce did do a good job. But then to be finished where, the guy's known for more of a striker and you're the grappler the way he did.
Yeah.
Just 100% amazing. And man, I don't know. Good luck stopping this guy. I think I don't know. Like, again, you could catapult him right up to the top. You know? So throw him into that.
Yeah.
Think of the fights you can make in the 45-pound division.
Oh,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying not to laugh, but I keep this meme keeps popping up in my head. I saw the picture of Jean Silva with that ninja choke locked in, and they have Bryce's face kind of like in agony, and it says, "All right, bro, the Earth is round." Damn. Right. I can't get over. But Bryce is a stud, dude. Like he fought to the end. He did what he could. But John Silva, man, like Ray said, I think he's just got way too much power, way too many tools. Yeah. And the dude looks so comfortable in the octagon, man. Like, again, those are the special type fighters. I don't know if he's going to be a champion, but he certainly looks like it right now. And he's a problem, man. Good luck dealing with that level of striking.
Exactly. And champion or not, that guy's an entertaining fighter. That's the guy you want to see fight.
I mean, Rogan was prophetic, right? He sort of suggested that he looked the part of champion before this fight, and he certainly looked like a champion on this night. I'm not sure if Jason Anik looked the champion, but his hair looks fantastic. Let's go 4 wide. Welcome in my twin brother at Boston Anik. Hey, buddy.
What's up? It would look better if the cameras were working, but just to stay on Gene, Silva.
His name's not Jean Silva.
Stay on Jean Silva. We can call him Lord, but I'm with Rogan, right? Even going in 4 finishes and 4 UFC fights, and the way he conducted himself, ninja choke Bryce Mitchell. And Bryce Mitchell, I thought, won the press conference, was certainly prepared and game. Yeah, he looks the part. And I can't tell you how many people had Jean Silva by knockout. That didn't cash, but it didn't even matter. He was going to finish it. And oftentimes when you see a guy that definitely doesn't fear the power coming back, but knows that they can deliver fight finishing power, I just think it gives them an edge. And when you talk about the comfort, Kenny, it's not like cockiness or talking smack in there dancing around. It's just knowing that he almost kind of a confidence that I see a guy like Ilia Topuria have. Just unbelievable.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, the other thing is it looks like he's not even trying yet. I mean, it looks like he's literally not even trying yet. He's just fucking around in the octagon and just beating the shit out of people. That's what scares me. Like, what happens when and you know what? And before I forget, even as a coach, man, shout out to those fighting nerds, man. What they're doing is unbelievable. And you always see this. Every kind of school has its run at a time, but these guys are on a freaking tear and a half. And I don't know, man. That, like, again, the ease in which he's doing it. It's not even like where would you see like a gap in this guy's game? He hasn't really hit adversity because he's making it look too easy.
Yeah, no, I've been waiting to see more of the fighting nerds. Obviously, Kyle Bohalio has proven how good he is on the ground, but I was kind of waiting to see that with Jean Silva. I knew he had a nasty arm in guillotine, but seeing all the different attacks he's doing with his grappling now too, like how do you plan for that guy? How do you prepare for that guy? Bryce Mitchell is no slouch on the ground. This is an experienced guy who knows about submissions, and he was still caught.
Again, and Kenny, it's a guy that will take risks because he doesn't care if he ends up in a bad position because he has the confidence to know he's going to get out and get back to where the fight's going to be in his advantage. So that's what's scary about him. He's not saying, oh, man, if I miss this choke, I'm going to end up. He's just going. He's going. And the confidence, when you're doing that, you have confidence because, even like when you're rolling, you do this, I'm going to end up on my back. A lot of guys play it safe, but this guy doesn't look like that guy. So you always have to be, you always have to be careful standing or on the floor with him because I think he's a mad hatter, this guy, and he's going to go for stuff and he can back it up.
Ray, thank you for the overtime. As always, I need to remember to book you for an hour after these pay-per-view events. Would you rather sleep in a doghouse or let stray dogs sleep in your bed? Would you rather sleep in a doghouse or let stray dogs sleep in your bed?
Well, John, since I've slept in the doghouse many times in my life, I'm going to go with just
There
sleeping
you
in the
go.
doghouse because, Kenny, it seems like it's actually the place to be at this point.
Hey,
So that's it.
Thank you,
Hey,
Ray.
guys, take it easy, guys. Love you.
All right.
Great card. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, buddy. You're the
Take
man.
care.
Greatest of all time, Ray Longo. Get your rabies and your stray dogs out of my bed. Jay, a lot to get to on the UFC 314 front. First, we are going to re-rack for everybody. We got Sean Sheehan coming up here in 10 minutes. Chase Hooper, bottom of the hour. Thanks to everybody joining us live here on the Anik Florian Podcast. This is Bryce Mitchell at the presser. John Silva starts barking, or getting the crowd to bark. And here's Bryce.
I put a lot of dogs down in my day. All those dogs that like to come up to the farm, they kill my animals. They come to harm me and my family, and they come barking. You know what they all got in common? They squeal right before they die.
Mic drop.
He's not joking. He is definitely not joking.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a dog guy, and I couldn't even hold it together. That stole the show. Jay, you particularly, Jay,
Just everything about the delivery, the pauses, right? And Kenny, this might sound crazy, but it made me instantly like his chances in the fight more.
Right.
And I think a lot of people that were picking Bryce Mitchell, I was like, oh, he really, and I do think Bryce Mitchell would have beat a lot of opponents on that night. I thought you got a good version of him. So, but yeah, I think he won the press conference after that moment. It was sort of a blah press conference. And after that moment, it turned into the Yair Rodriguez, Diego Lopes show, which sort of is what it is. So, but I think, yeah, I mean, dude, I couldn't get enough. I met Bryce with Bilal. I was with Bilal Muhammad at the LA event. Bryce came up to us. Neither one of us had met him in person. Couldn't have enjoyed that 10 minutes more, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, it just, gosh, there's so much to get to here. It's like,
well, let me say one more thing, because you guys were talking about risk, and I kind of want to ask Kenny this, and maybe this is too general a point, but, you know, Michael Chandler, no fight IQ ever, right? But at least I would have loved to see him be willing to get just knocked the fuck out early and go nuts. Same thing with Diego Lopes. So for me, for Michael Chandler and Diego Lopes, I just thought their paths to victory were going crazy and being maybe willing to get finished to try to get a finish. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I think it was probably more the case with the latter. I think that for Lopes, Volkanovski kind of wasn't having it. You know, just the way that he moves his feet, it was going to be difficult to catch up to him. You know, gosh, you know, I think that for the other fight we were talking about,
Chandler. Pimblett.
Yeah,
and normally
Chandler should have. Absolutely. Chandler should have, because that was his one spot. You know, Pimblett he's improved his footwork, but it's not at the level of someone like a Volkanovski. And to me, it looked like Chandler was super hesitant. This wasn't him not being able to get on the inside. This was him refusing to get on the inside. So I think for Chandler, it was a different story than Lopes, but I couldn't agree more, because I was telling everybody Chandler early is where he wins this fight. Get in Paddy's face, because Paddy will sometimes engage with you, get that chin up in the air. That was his best shot, I think, at winning that one.
You know, and I think maybe in an effort to be smart, Chandler wasn't as aggressive early on, perhaps in an effort to be smart. But, you know, Paddy Pimblett, and John and I have been high on Paddy Pimblett from the beginning. I liked him in this fight going in. But one criticism in his fights is I did see that chin sort of available. I didn't see Chandler even put Paddy in a position to need to protect his chin necessarily.
Exactly.
So thrilled for Paddy, though, beyond words. Over 3 million followers on Instagram already. I mean, sky's the limit.
All right, so we sort of exhausted John Silva, but maybe we could go deeper on him. I mean, it's absolutely amazing what Mr. Sukupita has done with the Fighting Nerds team and all the analytical minds they have behind these four athletes and others that are taking over the UFC. A lot of people think Kyle Bohalu is the best middleweight in the world right now. Mauricio Rufy, you know, what lightweight is he not competitive against right now with everything that he brings to the table, right? And Carlos Prates is headlining against Ian fucking Machado Gary in 2 weeks. I mean, it's absolutely insane. But on the John Silva front, you know, we did ask our listeners and viewers who they would like to see fight Alexander Volkanovski in the first defense of his second title reign. And based upon a conversation I had with Joe Rogan, I actually included John Silva. 61% of people would like to see it be Movsar Evloev, which is very encouraging. And then 19% apiece for Yair Rodriguez and John Silva. But I like the fact that, you know, the avid fans really understand what Movsar Evloev has done. We are going to get to the Dan Ige, Sean Woodson situation with Sean Sheehan coming up in a little bit. So Ken Flo, could we just live in the Dominic Reyes poll too for a little bit? Shades of Conor McGregor against Jose Aldo, I guess, in some part as he gets rid of the uber dangerous Nikita Krylov there with a knockout in round 1. I'm not sure. Did they bonus Reyes? I hope they did. Either way, what a win for Dom Reyes, huh?
Oh my gosh. And that's his best move. And it seemed to me that Krylov did not do his homework on that. I mean, if Dominic Reyes is going to land that shot, you're going to be asleep. I mean, he just has beautiful timing and has been doing that for a little while. But man, to talk about that technique for a second, that is very difficult to pull off. Very few people can land a shot like that going backwards with that level of timing and precision. And boy, does Dominic Reyes have it. That pull counter was just a thing of beauty. And yeah, Krylov was clearly not prepared for it, but it's great to see him get another win too, man. He's dealt with a lot, just comes across as a good dude, hardworking guy, and you love that story. Similar to what we talked about with Volkanovski, to see a guy, rise from the ashes, it's always a good thing.
John, I just want to, in terms of the main event, and you guys might have touched on this, but Volk's legacy, right? The alternative, 3 losses, John. And that Mount Rushmore comment you made earlier on the program, John, I made that earlier on a different program this weekend. Like, you stay in that conversation. Otherwise, 3 straight. And I didn't love the conversation that he would retire after losing a 3rd straight, but it just totally flips the script for Volk. And Flo, I can't get Topuria out of my head, though, if I'm being honest with you. Given that performance against Volk, I still just can't get that guy out of my head.
How good is he? In order for him to do that against someone like Volkanovski, how damn good is he?
And Volk was ready to go that. Yes, I don't mean to interrupt you, but Volk was ready to go that night. He might not have been ready to go at 55 against Islam a little, but he was ready to go that.
It seemed like it, but again, it could be a blessing in disguise. I think Volkanovski, like John said, that was probably his best performance. And if you're a smart guy, a hardworking guy, you can make improvements and learn from your mistakes. And I think Volkanovski looked better than ever.
Really amazing that he could turn in a career best performance at this stage of his career, but maybe not so amazing if you know the athlete and you know how good he is naturally, and then what he has done to hone everything and sort of extract everything out of himself in terms of maximizing his utility. 20 seconds only on the Mount Rushmore thing, right? I did a little bit of research on it this morning, and the most popular 5 men, it's very hard to get 4 men, right? Most popular 5 men, George St. Pierre, John Jones, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Anderson Silva, Demetrius Johnson, right? And Khabib was sort of, right there on the fringe with the 3 title defenses, maybe not, Anyway, the women, Ronda Rousey, Amanda Nunes, Valentina Shevchenko, Zhang Weili. For me, the women is a little bit of an easier navigation. Hard to try to find a place for Amanda Nunes among those men. But we only bring it up, and I'll end it there, that Volkanovski is now still in that conversation, I think, based upon the quality nature of this win. Cody Merrow wanting Conor McGregor to get there. And yeah, I guess, there's certainly, it's a hard thing. And Mount Rushmore, right, is like, what the heck is Mount Rushmore, right? Like, why can't we have 5 or 10 or anyway? Volk is one of the greatest of all time and cemented himself as such this weekend. So anything else, Jay, before we let you go in terms of your experience in Miami at UFC 314? President Trump was in the building, a lot of standout performers. Jean Silva seems to be a guy who's stealing a lot of headlines. I know Paddy Pimblett's a guy that you've admired from afar. Anything else in about 30 seconds before we let you fly?
No, I think the fight card was stacked. And, there is a lot of, the UFC does take criticism at times from the fan base. You know what I mean? And you see rumblings, a little less quality. These fight cards aren't good anymore. Well, pretty stacked roster of 600-700 guys. And anyone that didn't enjoy the dollars they spent on the pay-per-view on Saturday night come, at me. So the big show just continues to deliver. And yeah, to your point, John, whether you like Trump or not, the way it feels in the building when he's there, it's like, okay, we're at a sporting event. You know what I mean? The president of the United States and the whole cabinet, like sitting right over there. It feels just enormous and it's fun and the fights just deliver.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate your time. Have a great day and a better evening.
Yeah,
Jason Anik with us here on the Anik and Florian podcast. It is crazy to have the entire cabinet sitting there, and the Secret Service. I don't know if there was somebody filming for the White House and the President of the United States, but I looked down, I got a trash can I spit into and put my scripts in and whatever else. And I looked down, I got somebody there with, Secret Service, red tie, or whatever he was doing right there at my ankle. But certainly a festive night there in Miami. All right, Ken Flo, I know your back's been acting up a little better these days, but it's been acting up. For me, though, it's actually my diet inconsistency holding me back, really, when it comes to my workout sessions. I just can't get ahead of this stuff. Sometimes I've only got a few minutes to spare between obligations, fighter meetings, format meetings for the UFC. So recently, I've been reaching for HUEL. And the Black Edition, ready to drink. It's changed my whole situation. Each bottle packs 35 grams of protein, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, providing a perfectly balanced meal without the hassle of prep or cooking. It's absurdly convenient. You guys can get a free gift today just by visiting HUEL.com/AFPod and use our code AFPod. Plus, you get 15% off your first order. So my go-to, even though historically I've been a vanilla guy, is actually the chocolate flavor. It's smooth, satisfying, keeps me going strong, whether I'm octagon side or just on the go. And at just $5 per bottle, it's a no-brainer compared to the drive-through trash that I might be sampling instead. Saves me time, saves me money, and I'm trying to save you money. So if you're looking for a nutritious, convenient option to keep up with your lifestyle, new HUEL customers can head over to HUEL.com/AFPod and use code AFPod to get 15% off your first order plus a free gift. That's HUEL.com/AFPod. Give it a shot. You won't regret it. All right. So Dominic Reyes, Kenny, with this win. Gosh, my feel-good story doesn't even begin to describe it, but it's about more than that. It's about light heavyweight title contention, and his process could be expedited here because of the history against John Jones, the history of how trying his adversity in this division was, concussively and otherwise, right? So he's out there calling out Alexander Rakic and a rematch with Yuri Prochazka. What would you like to see next for Dominic Reyes? I'm kind of surprised he didn't go for the Jan Blachowicz rematch. What do you think?
Right. So I like both of those matchups. I think that his chances against Prochazka is maybe a little bit better. Well, against both those guys, because I think Prochazka still gets a little bit reckless and he leads with his chin. He does a lot of blitzes, which lends itself well to that pull counter that he loves to throw. Rakic, of course, at number 6 right now, Yuri's a lot higher. I would always say go for the higher ranked guy. But I just think it's a better matchup for him. But Rakic is certainly dangerous as well. Very, very good. But I think Prochazka might be the better matchup on paper.
And I'm glad that Reyes lived in that win. And unless I'm mistaken or deaf or I was distracted with producer traffic noise, he didn't call out Alex Pineda, right? Who in all likelihood is going to fight Magomed Ankalaev. So I think he was probably maybe wise not to, right? But certainly if you're Dominic Reyes, you land a fucking pull two. It's like, hey, Poetan, right? I mean, you could really have made some crazy noise, but that's just not necessarily his nature to create that type of clamor. He's a tremendous athlete, and dude, on any given night, Dominic Reyes, in my mind, could be the best light heavyweight athlete in the world in that 8-sided enclosure.
100%, and that's how you build up your highlight reel to get that eventual shot. You knock people out. So was very happy for Dominic. That was cool.
All right, congratulations to Dominic Reyes now joining us to unpack everything that was UFC 314. SevereMMA Sean Sheehan is back with us, first time in a long time. It's good to see you, good sir. It's always good to see your scorecard on the screen. I mean, I'd imagine for you and your woman and your family, right, sitting home and, hey, I mean, the promotion must think something of your scorecard to populate it on the screen there during the main event, my guy.
Yeah, it's great until I get the Twitter replies and everyone calling me an idiot. So that tends to happen every week. So yeah, it's been happening for a good few years now. So I suppose it has worn off a bit, the excitement. But yeah, the replies on Twitter certainly haven't worn off. So it's a double-edged sword, really. But yeah, it's good to see it up there, especially in an amazing title fight like we had on Saturday night.
Well, I would argue maybe you had it easier than me because I was suggestive on the air that it could be 3-0 Volkanovski, and I didn't understand the clamor that was going on down the table from our matchmakers, Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard, until DC audibly brought that to my attention on the broadcast, and then we sort of had fun with that a little bit. I don't know Kenny's card. I mean, I don't know that my card really matters, and I try to preface everything I say with that, but I did have it 4-1 Alexander Volkanovski, and so as I messaged you, I was kind of delighted to see you see it 30-27 because I trust your mind when it comes to this stuff. So you thought the main event was spectacular, I would imagine, in totality, but how did you see it, so to speak, round by round?
Yeah, I scored every round for Volkanovski except the fourth live, and I watched it back, and I felt the same way. There's definitely an argument that you could give Lopes the second, when you get hit as hard as that and knocked down, in a round where there hasn't been loads of shots landed. There's definitely an argument. And then in the fourth, watching that back, the way Volkanovski answers that big uppercut, and the uppercut as well came after kind of the glove to the eye, which made it look worse. There's definitely an argument for Volkanovski actually winning the fourth as well. Could be 5-0 to Volkanovski, could be 3-2 to Lopes. The one thing I would say, the difference, I think, between the fourth and the second, so in the fourth, when he hit him with that uppercut, there was maybe like 30 seconds or 45 seconds of Volkanovski backing up, showing that he was hurt. In the second round, he got, I watched it back today, I looked at the time, he got dropped with 8 seconds left, and with 2 seconds left, Volkanovski was back in his fighting stance, ready to do what he does.
Yeah.
So like, there wasn't,
yeah,
I understand it was a good knockdown, it was a heavy knockdown, it should score, but the reaction from Volkanovski was very good. We often talk about it's one of those little judging intricacies. You know, people often say, oh, it scores heavier because it happened at the end of the round. Well, it does sometimes because you don't have the ability to answer back. You know, you get knocked down, suddenly the round's in, they're like, oh, is that guy recovered or not? If it happens with a minute left, he gets back up, he lands a couple of jabs, thinking, all right, it didn't hurt him that much. So there is that kind of advantage there. Luckily for Volkanovski, he maybe had that couple of seconds to actually get back to his feet, and judges see things like that. You know, you'd be very surprised the little things that judges pick up. But having said that, at the same time, like earlier in that round, going back and watching it, like Volkanovski landed this kind of good combo and it rocked Lopes backwards. But watching that back, it was kind of like I don't know how you describe it. It was like a forearm push type of shot that looked like it was a big, almost knockdown with the kind of the cage saving him, but it wasn't on retrospect. But when you're a judge, or, you know, you're any of us watching at home, it's very hard to decipher that. I didn't see it really until the second watching between rounds, until they showed a replay from another angle. So, but other than that, I think 1, 3, and 5 anyway were very much Volkanovski rounds. Yes. And I enjoyed the fight, but I enjoyed it in like a spectacular performance from Volkanovski, rather than the actual itself being, it won't be fight of the year or anything like that, but brilliant performance from Volkanovski.
Yeah, you know, I had it 4 rounds to 1 for Volkanovski as well. And I think it's tough for a fighter to come back, Sean, when, you know, you're getting outpointed on as far as strikes overall, right? I think it was like round 1, I think Volkanovski tripled the output of what Lopes was throwing at him, and it was pretty much, he doubled the output all the way throughout. Now that knockdown was very interesting, but to you basically think that volume was the difference, the fact that Volkanovski was landing more effective shots.
Somewhat, but if Volkanovski had the volume without that big shot that rocked Lopes back now, and in retrospect, maybe it wasn't as big as we thought, but it looked big at the time. Like, that's, you know, we love the phrase, you know, knockdown. It wasn't a knockdown, but like if there was no cage there, it would have been a knockdown type of thing. So right. Volkanovski had won the round up until that point. He goes further ahead with that damaging shot, and you have one damaging shot from Lopes at the end. Like, does it overtake it? That's always, like, we saw a fight a couple of weeks ago, Kalen Loughran and Nathan Fletcher, and it was a similar sort of thing. Like, Kalen dominated 4.5 minutes of the round, and then late in the round he got hit with this one big shot. And you're like, you know, that was more of like a volume one, but he had landed a few nice damaging shots as well. It's, you know, judges are we know damage is a thing. We know the effective striking is a big thing, but when someone is, you know, miles ahead, it takes a lot. Judges are not just going to ignore the shots that have been landed, because, like, those are damaging shots as well. It's not just going to come down to one shot, unless, you know, it's a Dan Henderson on Michael Bisping or something like that. They're, you know, if it's close, absolutely. But in a round like that, where Volkanovski's a good bit ahead in the second and had hit a good big shot of his own, it's going to be very hard to turn that around. But there is an argument. There definitely is an argument for it.
SevereMMA and SureDog.com. Sean Sheehan with us live on the Anik Florian Podcast. I hope we have time, and I trust we will, to get to the Dan Ige, Sean Woodson thing and everything else. But I have to stay on round 4 if I could, because upon further review, upon your rewatch, you still had round 4, but the numbers, yes, do suggest that Volkanovski landed twice as many strikes. But Sean, my friend, right? Sal D'Amato, classy individual, has a lot of judging repetitions. I think he's one of the better judges, right? But is he in this moment sort of seeing somehow on a replay that the glove came in front of the most damaging strike singularly of the entire fight and giving round 4 to Volkanovski, because for me, as an MMA fan, first and foremost, the biggest shot of the fight, the closest the fight came to being finished, and maybe shame a little bit on Diego Lopes for not recognizing the moment and following up, came in round 4. And so I guess the way I've been trained by Sheehan and others is that round 4 has got to be Diego's. And am I allowed to be frustrated when it isn't on one of the 3 scorecards that actually matters?
No, you're not allowed, because it was a close round. Like, we have to.
Okay. All right.
That's one of those things with judging. We can have our opinions. Like, my opinion is that Lopez won the 4th round. You know, I agree with you. I agree with a lot of people who scored in the 4th. But there is an argument that it happened around 145 maybe to go or something in the 4th round. Volkanovski had been winning the rest of that round, but we leave that aside for a second. If you just watch the last 145 of that round and just score that bit, there is still an argument that Volkanovski won that, because after the gloves to the and after Volkanovski won. Ignore that part. Volkanovski won the rest of that round. He was going backwards, and Lopez did hit him with a couple. He landed one nice right hand, but Volkanovski was landing loads of stuff. And by the time the end of the round came, he was back into his Volkanovski stance where he was landing last every single time, and it was really, really good. And also, to the other point, maybe he did see the glove to the eye, because Volkanovski reacted as if he was poked or as if he got something to the eye. Yeah. Maybe Silva did see it. Now, sometimes you can. Can see it. So I wouldn't, even if he didn't, there still is an argument there. I went back and watched it, and I was kind of torn on it, because Volkanovski did so much good work. Like, there is a tendency to ignore, what actually happens outside of the shots. But there is a case here, I think.
All right, so there's a case then for Volkanovski 50-45. So in about 30 seconds, Sean, how did you think Diego Lopes fought on this night?
I thought he did as well as he could. Volkanovski is a far, far superior fighter. Watching on it last week, trying to kind of predict who would win and stuff, it was so hard to see a path to victory for Diego Lopes. And that's nothing against Diego. He's an up-and-coming fighter, and maybe if this fight happened in 3 or 4 years, it might be a different story. But Volkanovski, in my opinion, he is. I know you're talking about Mount Rushmore and all that, but I'm not a big fan of the GOAT debate. Right. I like who's the best. Right, and I maintain, and I'll go to my deathbed saying that Demetrius Johnson is the best, unless someone else comes out. I think Volkanovski might be the second best. Wow. I think he's that good. He's absolutely amazing. And I'll be honest, I didn't think we had 100% Volkanovski on Saturday night, but it was enough. And like Diego Lopes, as good as he is, he doesn't have the technical acumen to stand up there with Volkanovski and fight him the way I said it there. Volkanovski was last. We often hear fighters being told in the corner, be first. Volkanovski was last every time, and he put that apex, on every exchange. It was like, Volkanovski won that. He landed the best punch last. We exchange again. He landed the best punch last. Yeah, and, so good. There is this argument like, Volkanovski or Lopez should have thrown more. He should have gone for it. We have a phrase here in Irish sports. You can't keep the ball pucked out to them. Like, you hit the ball out, they get it, they score. You hit the ball out, they get it, they score. Every time Lopez tried to score, it was Volkanovski that was the one that was scoring. He was countering his shots and beat him up. Like Rogan called it very well, for a smaller guy to be able to counter like that. So, show us what an exceptional fighter he is. And Lopez was like, he was writing his own death warrant by attacking him. So what are you supposed to do? Like, could he have wrestled more or tried to clinch it up or something like that? Maybe, but he's a younger fighter, and in future, maybe that's something he might be able to do. But on Saturday night, there was only one winner of that fight from early. And on that, on the chin is the issue with Volkanovski, because he has been knocked out twice in a row now. If Evloev, maybe if he's next, a more technical fighter than Lopez, who can hit hard, can get there. Now, I think Volkanovski will beat him. I would pick Volkanovski in that fight, but I would give Evloev or people like that more of a chance now to beat Volkanovski than I would have a few years ago, because he's beaten those records of the over 35 thing and all, but those records are there for a reason, because it's to do it when you're that age, especially after a couple of knockouts. So it's not going to get any easier for Volkanovski, but to do it the way he did it, absolutely amazing. He's a legend.
That's a really, really thoughtful answer, and you were able to touch on a number of different themes there. Got a couple more minutes with Sheehan, and then we will be joined by lightweight of the week, Chase Hooper. But I guess the lightweight of the week, you could argue, could also be Paddy Pimblett, Sean. And I do have one more on that before I toss the baton back over to Ken Flo. So to what degree have you long believed in Paddy Pimblett? And to what degree, I guess, if at all, has he exceeded your expectations in becoming one of the very best in the very best division?
I have not long believed in Paddy Pimblett. He has massively overtaken my expectations. I was one of the people who he talks about that said he couldn't get ranked. I said he couldn't get into the top 10. When he's shouting out people, look at me now. It's me. He's talking to people like me. I watched him through Cage Wars, and I remember thinking at the time there was 3 or 4 lightweights in Cage Wars, and I'm thinking all these lads can beat him. And I stand by it. I think at the time they could have beaten him. But Paddy, he got to the UFC. He got a bit of money. He got the Barstool sponsorship. And a lot of lads at that stage, they might have gone off and they might have gone off the rails a little bit and done, bought cars and houses. And Paddy, Paddy had a couple of kids. He's training, okay. He went over to Miami and did a bit of eating for a while. But it feels like for the last 18 months, Paddy has been in the gym. He looks amazing, amazing shape. Like if you watch his vlogs, all his vlogs are training, and he has improved a whole lot. I love Kenny's tweet about, the kind of the graph. It's Chandler on the way down and Paddy on the way up, and where are they going to meet? That's why I love this fight so much. Like I tweeted, it's years since I've looked forward to a fight as much as this. And some people are like, oh, what are you talking about? But it's just the perfect fight. Like I had no idea who was going to win, and that's what we wanted at the end of the day. Right. Paddy good. Paddy changed up his game plan for the Ferguson fight from the Bobby Green fight. He was way more active going forward. It's a way he can fight, I think, in the future as well, which he can go 5 rounds fighting that way going forward. Yeah. We all know his deficiencies maybe defensively, but that's usually when he's going backwards. If he can fight going forward, get his game going forward, and then bring his wrestling and his elite jiu-jitsu. His jiu-jitsu is amazing into it. Paddy, there might be another shot coming. So the one thing I will say about Paddy, I didn't believe in his skill set, but I believed in Paddy as a person and as a character. And I've no dog in the game. Whoever wins. But I always kind of hoped Paddy would go on a run because it's so fun. And you spoke earlier about the crowd getting behind him and all. It's brilliant. So long may he reign, the King of the North.
Yes,
I love it, Sean. So many great performances on Saturday night, but for you, who's the biggest winner of the night and who's the biggest loser of the night, in your opinion?
I think Bryce Mitchell is probably the biggest loser of the night, the week, the year, for the way he has acted and how he got, destroyed by Silva, who really wasn't taking it that seriously. He just kind of went out and he kind of played with him. And I actually thought Bryce did okay in the fight. But Silva just kind of took him to pieces in the end. I think there's a lot of big winners. If Chase Hooper coming on here, I thought after that tough first round, for Jim Miller did well and showed he's veteran savvy. Hooper turned things around and did so well in that fight. So fair play to him. I thought Dan Ige, I know if you want to touch into judging, I thought he was a big winner. Yair as well, beating Patricio. Like, what a tough matchup for Patricio coming in to the UFC, like a nightmare matchup for him. But if you look at the main card, right? Every single winner on that was a big winner. Like Reyes getting, this phrase all the way back for Dominic Reyes. Everyone seems to be saying it. Absolutely brilliant. Silva going on now, he's going to be ranked. Yair maybe getting a title shot. Paddy, I heard you talking earlier about why didn't he call out Islam? I think he should have maybe as well. You never know. Look, we all thought Shafkat was going to fight Bilal. He's not fighting him now. He might even be fighting him next. So Paddy maybe could call that out. And Volkanovski putting himself back in the picture as one of the greatest of all time. Brilliant. Massive night for the UFC.
Sean, you're the man. And I guess I just need to book you for longer, because there's a lot to unpack in terms of Andrew Glenn and Mike Beltran and everything that happened there. In 10 seconds, no, go ahead.
He gave us 2 rounds up in that fight. I watched it back. I think it's one of those ones where you look at the numbers and it came up was 20 shots to 11. Dan Ige landed all the best shots in that first round. He landed, and I'm a massive Sean Woodson fan. He's one of those guys, I just love his style. Dan Ige was winning that fight. The stoppage was horrendous. Don't get me wrong. Andrew Glenn attempted to stop it on the feet beforehand, or not attempted, but thought about it. If you watch it back, and that's why he stopped it with the hammer fizz, because he was like, oh, should I stop this fight? No. There's a few hammer fizz. Okay, I'll stop it now. Very, very bad stoppage. Bad stoppage. But I think, Ige landed the harder shots. It doesn't matter the numbers. Woodson was landing the jabs from the outside. Show me one big hard shot that Woodson landed, and show me all the big hard shots that Ige landed. And Ige landed 5 or 6 of them in each round, and Woodson didn't land any And I picked Woodson coming in. As I said, big Woodson fan, but he gave us win in that fight, in my opinion.
Nicely done. That's Sean Sheehan, BA. My brother, outstanding work. We appreciate your time as always. And I feel better about round 4. Have a great day and a better evening, my man. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
There he is, Sean Sheehan, with us live on the Anik Florian Podcast. All right, I'm excited for our guest of the week. This week's Fighter Call brought to you by Total Wireless, the official wireless provider of UFC. Get unlimited data that won't slow you down. And there he is. I mean, a lot of green stripes on the Wikipedia page for Chase Hooper. I think it's 5 in a row. Congratulations, man. It's great to see you. Outstanding work in a division that makes it very hard to do what you're doing. And there is never an easy time to beat Jim Miller. He is still at the height of discipline and motivation and beating other people. So congrats. I hope you're enjoying the fruits, man. How are we feeling on a Monday on the back end of a huge win?
Yeah, I mean, thanks. Yeah, 5 in a row. It's crazy to think back now. And yeah, I mean, we're doing the damn thing. And yeah, I mean, I really feel like in the fight too, just comparing it to the Clay fight, like I felt that Miller was still in there, like he still had the dog in him, where I felt like Clay was not as, like the want wasn't there as much, but I felt that Jim was wanting to get the win still that on Saturday. And watching it back, no, I feel better about all the grappling and stuff. I guess I just let the fans sway me too much as far as my post-fight mood goes, but they were spoiled in Miami, and hey, I thought it was pretty solid watching it back.
Yeah, Chase, it seemed really dominant, man. Your grappling was on point as usual. My question is, you're always going for submissions, which I absolutely love. Is that something that you're working on for a particular fighter? Like, I'm going to try to get him in this, or that I'm showing certain vulnerabilities, or is this just the nature of your style as a grappler?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel that I'm always chasing the subs. I would have liked to hit Jim a little more, but his defense was great. Like, these positions, like where I had the body triangle, like on the back, whether he was standing or on the ground, like he was always controlling one of the gloves. So it's like he was doing a great job defending the strikes. I would have liked to hit him a little more, but I mean, I just felt that I was trying to free my arm the whole time, and he's a dog. I mean, Jim hasn't been finished in 7 years, and there's a reason for it. I felt that he had like kind of answers for all the stuff. I guess I was partially surprised in the moment a little, just with his defense for like the calf slicer, because he was like grabbing the glove. I mean, the legal way. Obviously, he wasn't digging in there. But it's really hard when they grab right at the cuff to like pull it away, and I didn't have enough of an angle to get the torque with just one arm against his leg. I was really impressed with his defense, but yeah, no, I mean, I feel I'm always trying to attack for subs. It always opens things up. And then again, I would have liked to hit a little more. I think that would have opened up the submission game even more, but I don't know. That's just my style of jiu-jitsu. I like to try and keep it as exciting as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Chase, you're still so young, man, and you've gone on quite a run. Do you feel like there's going to be a big fight ahead, and if so, like who are some of the guys that you're looking at potential opponents?
Yeah, I mean, I've mentioned some of the younger guys, like the Freziams, I mentioned Tom Nolan, all the Aussie guys, like that matchup. Just these other guys that are on some win streaks. I think UFC generally tries to keep the younger guys away until they kind of have to. And I don't know, just so that these are bigger fights, up higher on the cards. I don't know that the fans will maybe think of it as big of a fight as it is, but Perez is also on a 5-fight win streak. People were asking about like, oh, what about the Bobby Green fight? Like, I don't think they'd make that after the Roofy loss, and I believe he lost.
Oh yeah, so he's lost a
Paddy
couple since
before
the Jim Miller win. Yeah, so
yeah, and it's like I don't,
right.
It's the same boat that I'm in, where people are like, oh, you're fighting all the old guys again. Where I don't know, I can't care too much what the fans have to say as far as that goes. Like, UFC books the fights they want. I mean, I can ask as much as I want, and then they'll be like, how about you fight this guy? So I mean, I try not to chase it too much, but yeah, either of those younger guys would be awesome.
Chase Hooper with us live on the Anik Florian Podcast. So your career began, you were featured on a lot of numbered cards, and you sort of navigated the waters of some criticism and came out the other side. And now I see you jab, and it just feels like a jab in the face of all of your naysayers, because you snap it off in a way that, just I think sort of speaks to a lot of the experience that you've accrued, and a lot of good repetitions and the coaching that you've used to your advantage. And you do entertain because you're on these numbered cards again. And I'm not saying that, there's always a rhyme to the reason, but like, obviously, would you say that in the eyes of some matchmaker, you're doing something right because you are being prominently featured and they can count on you to be pursuant of maybe finishes or at the very least submission over position, I think some of the time.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty clear, like with the matchmaking and stuff, like you look at an Evalev, respectfully Bilal, like these guys, they're giving them the long routes up to the top versus like a Paddy Pimblett. Paddy's a great fighter. So is Bilal. So is Mosar. Like, but there's an entertainment aspect to it. And when people click with the fans and they get the fans going, they're exciting. I think when UFC thinks that they can make a lot of money off of somebody, then they obviously start to, try and invest in that. I mean, that's the thing is, it's entertainment at the end of the day. It isn't purely sport. And you can see that with the matchmaking. And yeah, I thankfully, I believe I'm closer on the entertainment side of it. I mean, they're not just feeding me to all the Dagestanis or all the Eastern European guys, we're getting good, reasonable matchups. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to keep it that way as long as I can. I mean, that's probably part of the reason I was disappointed I didn't get a finish, but I still feel, at least watching it back, in the moment, I mean, it's hard to tell if the fight's exciting or not.
Dude, you're in I don't know what a fucking truck position is.
Yeah.
You're trying to get a crucifix. I mean, if that's not exciting, dude, I don't know what to tell you, right? I mean, certainly certain crowds, right? And I'm biased towards like Boston, Massachusetts, because I'm from there, but like they don't really boo the wrestling and the grappling because I just think maybe they understand that they're mixing the martial arts. And Miami was just a little bit impatient, I think, when it came to some of the grappling very early on in the night. But yeah, dude, there's a lot of things that sort of go into it. Now, in terms of like fighting Tom Nolan overseas, and I thought that's a great call out, or I mean, are you more about like a timeline right now or a destination? Like, how do you see the rest of the year playing out?
Honestly, if I could never fight in Australia or any of these foreign countries, I'd be pretty content. I mean, I wouldn't mind.
You are calling out, big train Tom Nolan.
Yeah, I mean, make them come over here. I mean, I ain't taking that 40% tax. Come on now.
Right.
That's why nobody wants to fight there,
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, come on. I'm losing half. It's as if I'm losing just fighting over there to begin with. Come on now.
So in terms of connection with fans, Chase, so Bilal Muhammad, right? Maybe there isn't always connective tissue with the fans, and I think it hurts him in the court of public opinion because his fighting style is actually way more exciting than people realize. He's a dynamic wrestler. He is position over submission, right? But he won't get credit for his striking because maybe he doesn't have that complete connectivity. So how do you do it, man? It's like, it's hard enough to like be a lightweight contender to get a number next to your name. So to what extent do you prioritize that connection with fans in terms of, I even see Corey Sandhagen thinking outside the box, maybe because he has to at this stage of his career.
Yeah. Again, like I mentioned, this is not purely a sport, entertainment is a huge aspect of it. I feel like, I don't know, some of the other more traditional sports like NBA, NFL, like you can get really far just purely by your athletic prowess, but UFC being an individual sport, like you have to have the full package if you want to maximize, I guess, your time in the cage. Like, again, because we're only fighting, 2-3 times a year. 3 times a year would be a lot for most people. Like, and that's what, 45 minutes out of an entire year that people are seeing you at the most. So you really have to maximize the time outside and all these opportunities that are provided. So it's, I don't know, it's trying to leverage the social media game and like not do it in like a corny way. Like I'm trying to, I don't know, do things because I think it's funny. And if other people like it, then that's great. That's just how it goes. I mean, I'm trying to have fun with it. This, again, it's a ridiculous sport. We fight in our underwear for a living.
Yeah.
Why be too serious about it? I feel like a lot of fighters have like a ton of ego. Like you know, they don't like interacting with the fans because it is very volatile, and like they either love you or they hate you. And even if you win, you're still going to get people telling you how garbage you are. And like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like starting so young, like on the Contender Series, getting beat up for a little bit and then coming back and winning. Like I already had people in the comments like hating on me immediately after I checked my phone. Like half of the comments were like, you suck. You know, UFC shouldn't have signed you.
Right.
You know, retire now, give up.
Right.
And then like that, you just stop caring when it's 18. I mean, I cared at the time, and then, you know, you just get used to it. I mean, I'm 25 now. I've been dealing with these people for 7 years. Yeah.
5 straight UFC wins at 25 years of age is heady stuff for Chase Hooper. You can follow this man at Chase_Hooper. And, you know, it can happen pretty quickly too. And it's interesting because Paddy Pimblett, as entertaining as he was, and yes, you could say he won the weekend, right? But one of the things on my fighter card, I'm not sure if I got to it, but winning at all costs, man, right? And like, you know, that win over Jim Miller at whatever age is going to age gracefully, and you have certainly aged gracefully in the UFC. So we appreciate your time and hope you can enjoy it. You know, a lot of fighters have a hard time enjoying these wins for whatever reason, but you seem to be a guy who's mentally level-headed enough to enjoy it. So enjoy the fruits. Want to give you a little shine today, my man, and we will talk to you down the line, I'm sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great talking with you guys. And yeah, hope to talk to you soon.
There he is, Chase Hooper, with us live on the Anik Florian Podcast. Very interesting proposition for the matchmakers as well, you know, because I don't know if it's Mick Maynard or Sean Shelby. Sometimes I get confused, but either way, you know, submission guys and guys who can finish you in that way are just very exciting because there are so many moments of consequence. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if the statisticians are stingy with the submission attempts, handing them out in terms of how many you actually attempt, right? I mean, that truck position, Kenflo, that looks like that is not fun. This is not the gentle art.
No, not at all. And that's the thing, you know, he really is going for it. And you can tell that I already knew the answer to my question, but this is a guy who's working on trying to have an exciting style, maybe not to entertain fans, just because that's the way he likes to fight. He wants to go out there, deliver good performances. He wants to get the finish. I think it was more the toughness and experience of Jim Miller than any deficiency in what Chase Hooper was doing necessarily.
But interesting intel right off the top, to be sure, just in terms of how present Jim Miller was in fight. You know, that man was desperate to not get finished. All right. Thanks to everybody for joining us today. Ray Longo, Jason Anik, Chase Hooper, Sean Sheehan. Spirited show today, recapping UFC 314. Congratulations to Alexander the Great Volkanovski. Perhaps the moniker has never been more appropriate than it is after what he did against Diego Lopes, who, of course, will be back. And, yeah, Diego Lopes, Yair Rodriguez, 5-round co-main event at altitude in Guadalajara, Mexico, UFC 320. Take my money. Thanks to our producer, Cody Merrow. Thanks to all of you. You can follow the show at Anik Florian Pod, JohnAnik.com, KennyFlorian.com if you want to support us in more ways than one. And if you want to download the free-to-download John Anik app, I would not hate you for that as well. We are back next Tuesday, April 22nd, as we get you ready for Ian Machado Gary and Carlos Prates. Thank you all for being with us live on YouTube today as well. For Kenflo, I'm John Anik. We'll talk to you in about 8 days. Until then, go later.
I love this shit.